rounding. It's very important because no matter what, again, strand, what chemistry, biophysics, math, whatever it is, you need to know how to round. Money, right? You need to know how to round. So we did talk a little bit about rounding. Okay. Now there are several rounding methods, but in this course we're just gonna stick with the simplest one. Okay. The rounding method mostly they have to do with a 5. So if you have a 5, then you have to decide what to do, right? So there's different methods for that, but we're gonna stick with the simplest one here. And the simplest one here says, if you have a 5, then no matter what, there's other method that says if you have a 5 and it's even, odd, whatever, you round up, round down, whatever. We're not gonna do that, okay? So the method that we have here, I'll talk about it. It's the simplest one of them. So first, which digit you need to keep, okay? So which digit you need to round to. So that's the digit that you're going to keep. Okay, so let's say if I say round to the 10th, right? That means you're gonna have to keep the first digit after the decimal. So that's a digit that you want to keep. That's a digit you want to round to. You're gonna leave that digit the same if the next digit is less than 5. That's right. And we call this rounding down. Okay? So let's say if I want to keep it to the, so let's say I have 2.73 and I want to keep it to 1 decimal place. Okay? So that's my 1 decimal place. That number is a 3. That means I have to keep that 7 the same. So we call that rounding down. Okay? So it will be 2.7. Increase it by 1 if the next digit is 5 or greater. So in this case, even if it's just 5, you're going to still round up. So that's 5 or greater, and this is called rounding up. Okay? So for example, if I have 3.46, okay? This number 6 is greater than 5, so I'm going to have to round this up, right? And that's going to be 3.5. Okay? And remember, in this case, I'm giving you an example rounding to 1 decimal place. Okay? They could ask you to round to 2 decimal places. They could ask you to round to 3, right? So it depends on what the question is asking you. Now, we also have the cascading 9s. Okay, so the cascading 9s is like, you know, you go to the store and they tell you, this table costs $99.99. Right? What does that mean? It's $100, right? So this is what we call cascading 9s, right? Because if I'm kind of like saying, okay, this costs $99.99, I'm not gonna say $99, I'm gonna say like it's $100, right? So what happened is this 9 is gonna cause this 9 to go up to 10, right? So which caused this to go up to 10, which caused this to go up to 10. So I'm going to end up with $100, right? Right? These are called the cascading lines. So let's recap the names of the place. So you have the decimal place, and you have digits before the decimal place, and you have after the decimal place. So let's recall what we call these. Okay? So out of these numbers, so this is your decimal place, it's right here. First number, which is in this case 4, the first number before the decimal place. The ones. So this is your ones. How about where the 3 is? The 10s. Where the 2 is? Hundreds. And where the 1 is? Thousands. first number after the decimal? Tenth. It's the 10th with a TH. So anything after a decimal is going to end with a TH. We start with the 10th. Then you have the 100th. So that's to 2 decimal place. Then you have 1,000. I can't pronounce these. Too many S's. 1,000. Okay? And this is the 10,000, but we're not gonna, don't worry about this. Usually at this point we'll tell you round it to 4 decimal place. Alright? We don't even bother with saying it's 10,000. Okay?
Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's the 10th is under the 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we good with that? All right. So, first question. It's asking to write the nearest 10. So you have 32.45. Which number represents the 10 digit? 3. So I have to look at the number that comes after the 3. So in this case, I have a 2. So what do I round this to? 30. Okay? So remember, if it's before the decimal, you're going to have to put a 0 for each spot. Okay? Because I can't round this to just 3. Right? 32 is not close to 3. So what happened is, I keep the 3 because this is a 2, and then I make the 2 0. So 32 is closer to 30, right, than it is to 4. How about 127.9? So where's my 10 digit? The 2. After the 2, I have a 7. So what do I have to do with the 2? Make it a 3, right? So that's going to be 130. So you see that the 7 becomes a 0 because I have to keep that digit. I can't get rid of that digit. Now, after a decimal, I don't need to keep the numbers after what I'm rounding to. We'll talk about that. Okay? But before the decimal, I have to keep all the digits. Okay? So you see how I had to keep the 7 and make it into a 0. Let's look at question number 2. So round to the nearest 10th. So I have 14.176. Where's my 10th digit? So the second one, right? This one. All right? Now, if I'm rounding to that 10th digit, what do I have to do with the 1? Because there is a 7 after it.
14.2.
So I have to round it up. Yeah. I have to round this up. So that's going to be 14.2. So you see in this case, I don't need to put any numbers after that 2 because it's after the decimal. I only want it to 1 decimal place. What will be the answer for B? 0.3? So my 10th digit is the 3. After this 3, I have a 0. So that means that stays the same and it stays at 0.3. Next one saying round to the nearest hundredth. before we give the answer, which number is my 100th? So it's the 2, right? So that's my 100th term, so it's a 2. After the 2, I have a 5. So what do I do with a 2? It becomes a 3, round it up. So that's going to be 3.13. Because I need it to the 100th, that means 2 decimal places. Okay, how about the next one? Where's my 100th place? It's the first 9, right? So you see this 9? It's this. Okay, now, what do I have after it? A 9. So what do I have to do with this 9 that I circled? Make it a 10. So what's going to happen is, it's going to bump that 0 to become a 1, and then that's going to be a 0. Okay? Now, I have to keep that 0 here, because that's telling me that it's to the nearest 2 decimals. Okay? You don't get it? Okay? So you see here, if I don't put that 0, it's the same answer, but this is only to 1 decimal place. This is to 2 decimal places. So that's why I have to keep that 0, because the question's asking me, they want it to 2 decimal places. Okay? Are we okay with this? Do we understand why this 0 became a 1? Okay, thousands. So that's how many numbers after the decimal place? 3. So it's this 6 right here, correct? Because that's 1, 2, 3. After the 6, I have a 5. So what do I do with a 6? Make it 7. So that's going to be 5671.177. Okay. Where is my third or my thousandths? Okay, so it's that 9, the last 9. Okay, what do I have to do with it? Make it a 10 because I have a 5 after it, right? Okay, if this becomes a 10, what happens to this? It's going to go up to 10. 10, 10, 10. So that means I'm going to start with 100, right? So that's going to be 100. Point what? 3 zeros, because remember I need it to the nearest thousands, okay? So I need to have 3 decimal places after the decimal, okay? So that's going to be 100.000. Is it the same as saying 100? Yes, it is. It's the same as saying 100, but in this case I'm being more, it's more accurate because I know it's accurate to the nearest 3 decimals, okay? Any questions about this? Okay, so practice some rounding. Money, what do we round money to? Always. How many decimal places? 2. Money is always to 2 decimal places. Okay, so you're always gonna write, let's say if you have $25.30, you're gonna have to write it as 25.30. Right? So always money to 2 decimal places. Okay? All right, so practice the question, the worksheet that comes right after this page, please.